Hi, friends. Welcome, and I'm glad you could make it here today. So you want to get into podcasting. Well, that's great. Now, at some point, you're going to want to figure out what is the best microphone and what is the best technique to use the microphone when recording your podcasts. Well, we are going to get into what kind of microphones are the best quality and also some neat little tips and techniques with microphone tips and techniques for podcasting. So the content of your podcast is the most important part, but the second and almost equally important part is the quality of your podcast, how the audio is. You do not want to be recording with your old Xbox 360 headset.
What's up, YouTube? Make sure to like, subscribe. It's your boy Marvin here from Marvin's Marvel Movie Reviews.
You want to invest in your podcast and make sure it sounds good because the content may be amazing, but you're going to lose so many listeners or people aren't going to want to listen at all if the podcast audio quality sounds horrible. So my suggestion is when buying a mic, at least spend $100 on a decent sounding mic. There are two different kinds of microphones that you could buy to record your podcast with. One is the dynamic microphone, and the second is the condenser microphone. This microphone I'm talking through right now is a Blue Spark condenser microphone, and this microphone runs about $200. Condenser microphones are better used in a studio, and they're very, very delicate. You don't want to be holding onto this and swinging it around and dropping it and all that kind of stuff. You got to make sure they're stationary and you come up to it and you talk to it. They are more on the expensive side, but you get a better quality recording from them. And they need an extra kick as well. So condenser microphones need something called phantom power. And phantom power just gives it that extra boost to make sure you get the best audio recording possible. Now, luckily, most multi-track recording devices are equipped with phantom power automatically. Now, this dynamic microphone cost me around $100. The dynamic microphone is more rugged. It can be dropped, thrown around, and it'll still work. Now, the trade-off with the dynamic microphone being able to be thrown around wherever is that the audio quality won't be as great as a condenser microphone. Now I'm going to test how both of these microphones sound by saying the same thing, and I'm not going to touch it up with any post-production mixing or anything, so this is straight out of the microphone so you guys could tell the difference. Okay, so now I have both microphones in front of me, and we're going to split both of the audio tracks and listen to each one, but this is all going to be in the same breath. Dung beetle seagulls are evil people. 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 So checking the mic. A lot of people approach the mic differently, and the best way to adjust things to get the right level to get the best audio recording that you possibly can is by adjusting beforehand. So this is why you get a lot of people just checking the mic, check, 1, 2, 3. So right here, this is what I'm recording all this through. I'm going to start talking and turn this down. Now you can't hear me. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, check, 1, 2, 1, 2. And what you'll want to keep in mind when checking the microphone is that you are in the orange area and not in the green, because green is too low and you won't be able to get the best quality of your recording. And then you don't want to get too high to where it's just distorting, and now everything is, as you could see, the little red light is blinking and it's peaking. That's what we call that in the industry. It's peaking. So you want to keep it at a nice medium, right around there. So check, check, 1, 2, yes, yes. Okay, that sounds great right there. Now, I don't really wear headphones when I'm recording a podcast. I only wear them for quality inspection, and then I take them off as we get into the recording. So I just like to keep it as natural as possible. So as long as you have your levels dialed in and you've captured the best way someone's approaching the microphone, that's all you really can do. So there's really no need for headphones unless you really do want to wear them. Now, for people beginning in podcasting and they got their first setup with microphones or whatever, they may feel a little shy on the microphone. A lot of people hate public speaking. That's like one of the biggest fears out there, is speaking in front of people. And that's completely normal. But to come off more natural, this is a little trick that I tell myself sometimes, is that when you're recording, just imagine that you're talking to your best friend. Don't imagine that you're talking to a million billion question mark faces. Just imagine that you're talking to your best friend. How would you talk to your best friend? And just imagine that. That's the best way to come off more natural sounding and less of, I'm shy. I sound so weird. Now, when approaching the microphone, what is the best range between your voice and the microphone? Some people like to get right up to it and talk like this and almost basically kiss the microphone and make out with it. And sometimes when I'm interviewing people and they're sitting across from me, sometimes they think that as long as the microphone is in front of them, they could still pick them up way over here. And it's the best quality ever. So I always tell people to keep about 4 inches between their mouth and the microphone for the best quality recording. And it's also something I like to call the Snickers bar rule. The Snickers bar is about 4 inches long. So always keep in mind the Snickers bar rule. The Snickers bar is the same space you need between the microphone and your mouth to get the best audio recording. All right, so the next thing I want to talk about is when you're listening back to your recording, your voice is going to sound different than how you hear it in your head. And it's completely, natural for you to feel that way, because inside your head, you have all these bones and tissue. So your voice sounds actually deeper than what other people hear. Like inside your head, you pick up lower tones and frequencies than what your voice coming out into the air and what the recording is picking up. So when I talk a little deeper, what the audio recording is picking up, a tone down, is what I'm actually hearing in my head. So always keep that in mind too. That's why a lot of people always think, oh, my voice, that's me? It's like, yeah, that's you. I mean, it's not how you hear yourself, but that's what everybody else does. So there you go. There's a little bit of science. Okay, and so the other thing I highly recommend every podcaster, anybody that uses a microphone to do anything with, is to invest in a popper stopper. That's what these little screens are called, these little filters. And a lot of people see these screens and they feel like it's a spit guard. It's something that they could just spit into and just get chunks of food and whatever's caught between their teeth into it, and it's just fine. That is not how you use a popper stopper. These things are used to stop the air when you're using P sounds or B sounds or anything that makes your mouth expel any kind of air and gets into the microphone. This stops it so nothing like that happens. When I used to work in radio, almost every studio I worked in, people had this, even professionals in the real world, they used the microphone little shield, the little sponge shield. There'd be chunks of food in there. They were nasty. They smelled bad. It was just awful. So yeah, just don't do that. You don't want to approach a microphone and, oh God, what is that? The popper stopper is meant to stop your pops, not to stop what you had for lunch earlier. So now you have an idea of how to work a microphone properly. Now, what do you do when you're interviewing somebody or you just have somebody on as a guest, whatever, and they're just moving all over the place? Yeah, I kind of like Fruit Loop cereal. It's so good. Oh, man. Your job is to reel them back in. And it's hard to do, and you don't want to come off awkward, but you just got to say, hey, get a little closer into the mic. Yeah, right there. Yeah, okay. Or you could just kind of move it closer, grab their mic and move it, and then go on with the recording of the podcast. But it's not their fault that they're unaware of how microphones work. But sometimes, they get a little loose and they think anywhere they're moving, wherever their mouth is moving, that it's picking up. And yeah, it's all just the best quality. That will make the person editing the podcast later have to do much more work, cutting clips, elevating them, blowing up the volume and all that, instead of just getting a nice take with less post-production needed in editing. So always keep that in mind to reel whoever you're interviewing or whoever your guest is back into the microphone properly. Always tell them the Snickers rule. Hey, Snickers, 4 inches. One more thing is to invest in a good microphone stand. You don't want to buy a cheap one that's $20 to $40 because after a while, the little screws and everything may start stripping. And while you're recording, the thing may start moving down and you'll be like, wait, what? So invest in a good microphone stand so wherever you position the boom mic, it sticks there and stays there. I would say in the $80 range. So to look for a good setup of everything you need for a decent microphone, you want the condenser, you want the microphone shield, you want a nice microphone stand, and you want a popper stopper. It's probably going to run you, I want to say, a good $400 to $500. Now you can start with a dynamic microphone and just have a little tabletop stand for $10, and that will run you about $110. So those are the two recommendations I would give anybody that's starting out in podcasting. You have the dynamic microphone, that's $120, $110, and then you got the condenser microphone package for about $450. That's it. Thanks for watching and listening. I am DJ Glowing Ice for Industrial Industries World Radio, and this was Microphone Tips and Techniques for Podcasting. See you again soon, friends. Yo, what's up? This is DJ Glowing Ice. And if you like this video, you may like the podcast side of things as well. We do all kinds of things, such as going over fun facts. We have activity time. We also review movies, video games. We talk about all kinds of video games. We also go over the history of companies such as McDonald's and Coca-Cola, Toys R Us, and so much more. We also talk about proper etiquette, how to act out in the world, and how to better yourself with tips. We have music reviews, CD, album reviews, all that kind of stuff, and a whole lot more. So check out the Industrial Industries World Radio podcast on any podcasting platform of your choosing. And there's a whole lot more on the podcast that we can't fit into videos on this YouTube channel. So check it out. Industrial Industries World Radio, it's the podcast. And I didn't think of a way to end this right. So, yeah, check out the Industrial Industries World Radio podcast. It's really cool.